the Once and Future Parent. I'm Matthew, a.k.a. the Ethical Panda.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Mandy Kaplan of the Make Me a Nerd podcast. I was chewing a mint on mute.
Oh, dear. And I'm Pete Wright of True Story FM, and I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm also clearly the organizer of this podcast who decides not to tell my podcast co-hosts when I'm going to change the format on them. So that was a fun introduction. But that's
We
kind
usually
of the
don't
point.
introduce ourselves.
Well, but that's kind of the point, because as you all are telling me, parenting is generally not about making a plan and seeing the plan exactly through. And today we're going to be talking about that in the extreme, because my partner Mary and I, for those who aren't listening, we're recording this when we are a couple of weeks out from the big day. And everything is fine, but there have been some signs of some things that could go wrong if things go too long. So we have now a scheduled date for induction. We will be inducing beginning on a certain Wednesday, and told that means the birth will probably happen on the next day, maybe the day after. We'll see. And I'm sure that means that I don't have to worry, because everything about labor is going to be scheduled and set up and perfectly on time, right?
Of course. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
And
fast.
no one will piss you off or let you down.
Nope.
Exactly. Well, we're going to be
Good
talking about labor. We're going to be talking about kind of what happens right before, what happens after. We're not going to get into the medical details. That's not what this podcast is. We are not experts by any means.
Would you put pictures of my C-section scar up in the show notes? That'd be great.
Yes, right. You have those macro shots?
Exactly. But first, let me just kind of do a check-in on this week in parenting. Pete or Mandy, any interesting things for you all to report?
Well,
Mandy should go first.
I have, from the annals of raising a teenager in this modern era, what do you do when this did not happen to my son, but when you keep in touch with a camp counselor via text, and that camp counselor, who is over 18, starts saying inappropriate sexual things to your 14-year-old child.
Yeah.
And this is
Wow.
what has been, a friend is going through this, and how do you manage that? And how reactionary should you be with an 18 and a 14-year-old?
I'm
Reactionary.
guessing you just take away the phone and
answer.
ban them from
Jesus.
talking, because that always works on teenagers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
I had a very strong reaction, not because of the age difference, because if they were a senior and freshman in the same school, okay, that's adorable. But this is your counselor, and you are their camper, and they are an authority figure and should be there to protect you and look out for you. And instead, they are saying rated X things on your texts. So,
Oof.
But hey, by the time your little one is a teenager, Matthew, it'll be chips in the brains and who knows what. But that's just a danger that wouldn't have occurred when I went to camp.
Oh, yeah.
We were lucky if we wrote a letter to our counselor, and if they wrote back, and that was, but it just, it's crazy.
Oh, it's awful.
Pete?
Well, I don't have any stories as juicy as that. Although
not
weirdly,
use that
if we were to go back in time, I actually, as a youth, also lived through that with a high school teacher and an inappropriate relationship with one of my dearest friends. And so, this has been happening for a while, and it's not pretty.
Right.
No, I had a very chill week because we sent my son, he's in New York with his grandparents for a week, and took them to see Sinners in the movie theater, which was, I think, a real treat for everyone. And I've been traveling blissfully with my wife, just us. And that is a very, it's a very different experience when you're just traveling with a suitcase and everybody knows what they're doing, and there's no extra paraphernalia. I'm telling you, it's dreamy. Not that traveling with children isn't really fun too.
That's a whole episode when you have a baby. We'll do traveling with the baby.
We're going to have to do traveling with a baby. That'll be an episode for sure.
We're going to discuss it because we've already been invited to go to a annual time when all of Mary's family rents cabins up by a lake with no air conditioning, an hour from a hospital, a week and a half after the birth. And Mary's really excited to do that, which I have thoughts on.
Oh.
And my father has invited us all to for my stepmother's 80th birthday. We're renting a villa in Italy 3 months after the birth, and I'm trying to decide if that's going to make sense. So, yeah,
Wow.
I have a lot of questions for you all about traveling with baby and traveling.
That
with,
episode brought to you by Benadryl. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. But let's talk about this week's topic. We're talking about labor and the many, many mysteries thereof. And I want to start. We did originally say that this was going to be a media and pregnancy podcast, and clearly, I think we've had a lot to say just about pregnancy and childhood and raising kids on our own. We'll probably still be getting into the media stuff a lot. But I just want to say, for me, and I'm wondering if this is for you guys, my knowledge of the labor process, the only time it would have been close to it was with when my mother had my sister. So I kind of knew, I remembered some of what she went through with pregnancy, but of course I was 7 years old. I wasn't hearing, everything about it. I just remember like when she, had trouble getting around as much and stuff like that.
You didn't catch the baby?
No. And for example, it turned out my mother had a couple of miscarriages in between me and my sister, and I was 6. Of course, I didn't know about these things.
Right.
But, all I've ever seen on television and movies is someone's water breaking at the most inopportune time and then being rushed to a hospital where you're probably actually not going to make it in time because the from water breaking to the head popping out is about 10 minutes maximum. Of course, learning this is very much not the case. And now getting into the induction process, and that we're going to be hopefully having a more scheduled and set up thing. But I'm kind of curious for you all, how much knowledge did you have about what the labor process was going to be like? And did it come from your family? Did it come from the movies and TV shows you'd watched? And let's just first start there, and then we can talk about how different it was from reality. But like before you went through this process, do you have a memory in your mind of like what you thought that was going to be like?
I think it was similar to yours for me, right? It's this idea that, everything I learned about everything came from movies and television, right? Like that was my generation. And then we started going through the process of like going through all the classes, and they showed the videos, and like there was in our community of friends going through, it was always, did you see the birth video? Oh my God. But nobody ever prepared me for the time. That was the thing that nobody ever talked about, really. That they said it could take some time, but it was never, you're going to be here for days. We know your expectation is that, like you just said, like the water's going to break and then the baby might come in the cab, right? If you're,
Right.
I think about
Frasier.
Seth Meyers. Yeah, right. Seth Meyers did a great stand-up special called Lobby Baby.
Lobby Baby.
Yeah, one of his babies was born in the lobby of their apartment complex, which is delightful because sometimes it happens like that. That was not our experience
Right.
specifically. So I didn't know enough, and it was boring for a lot of it. And then it was, oh God, oh God, oh God. So
Right.
very, very boring. Oh God, oh God, oh God. That's pretty much it.
I had a scheduled C-section because I have some medical problems. And we didn't know if I was going to have a C-section. As you're learning, Matthew, the doctor says, when we get closer, we'll make those decisions and we'll,
Yep.
decide best practices. So I took the birthing classes in case I was going to give birth vaginally. And I had seen many, many movies and TV shows where women gave birth, and I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified of that kind of pain and that kind of lack of control in my body. And then we found out, okay, it's going to be a scheduled C-section, and I did feel relief. But going to the hospital and being like, oh, hi, I haven't had anything to eat or drink, and we're here for the delivery at 1 p.m. It was, there was something very anticlimactic about that, and it didn't have all of the rush of emotion and excitement that I had seen all my life in media.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that
It's
would
like
have felt like.
transactional. It's totally transactional.
Right. And
Yeah.
and I was so in my head You know, because I didn't have anything to distract me, like contractions or excitement or
Right.
doctors coming and going. It was like, sit here and wait for an hour and a half. Then we're going to give you an excruciating shot that's going to numb your body. Then you're going to wait another hour and a half. And then you're going to, it was like, I was just in my head. And I had asked, fun fact, I said, can you give me like a half of Valium or Xanax or something for my anxiety? And they were like, no, absolutely not. And I had been told by many people who had C-sections, tell them you have anxiety and they'll give you a little something. Not Cedars.
Won't do it.
Thanks for nothing. So I was just in my head, and the birth, I won't keep talking, but the birth, C-sections are not the peaceful, painless, easy thing you might imagine.
Right.
There was extreme discomfort, and I thought I couldn't breathe, and I thought I was dying, and I was terrified and having a panic attack. So I do warn friends who say, I'm going to have a C-section. I just warn them that
Right.
it's not just you can't feel a thing and they hold your baby out.
It's
it
trauma.
feels like you're suffocating,
Oh, yeah.
like literal
I-
suffocation.
Yeah.
And if I understand it correctly, that's one of those things that's in part due to technology advancing. Because I was a C-section baby, so I am not of woman born, so I can both kill Macbeth and am free of all mortal sin. But if I remember correctly, when my mother explained it to me, and from a little bit of research I was doing for this episode, this is true. You know, at that point in the 70s, it was often a general anesthetic because we didn't have quite as many targeted anesthetics as we have today. And so, you know, it was like any other surgery. She
Went to sleep.
took a shot, put something over her mouth or whatever it was, went to sleep and woke up, and there was a little ginger baby in her arms. Today, we have no, it's great. We just give you a local, and so you can be awake for this. Because I remember when I first heard that, like when you're literally cutting a person open, like you don't keep someone awake for like a liver surgery or kidney surgery or something like that.
Is that what they did to me?
No, I don't know. I mean, you know.
The thing that they don't. I mean, I neither of my kids were C-section, and but our dearest friends were, and the husband talking to me about his experience of the C-section is, I mean, horrifying. It's hard as a partner to watch your partner go through the birth process, no matter the way it works. But the C-section, with organs sitting on a surface outside of the body to make room to get the baby out, is legitimate trauma for both parties in their own unique and wonderful way. It is very hard to rationalize what they're doing to get the baby out. So,
And I'll admit, I'm the sort of person who, like, I have prepared myself. I've watched a couple videos of birth. I'm ready for that. And part of why I've been doing that is because I'm the sort of person who, when an episode of ER gets a little too graphic, I have to look away. And when you describe that, Pete, I could feel my stomach come up a little bit. I was like, well, I will be as supportive of a partner as I can if my partner has a C-section, but I'm probably going to have my eyes like locked on her face and like not looking in that direction.
That's really important. You don't have to look like it, and it's the number of husbands of C-section partners who have said I should not have looked is high.
The doctor says you can look now. You won't see anything upsetting, and that's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
Jared took a peek, and he was like, "I am forever changed and traumatized by what I saw."
Yeah.
So when the doctor says, "Oh no, it's fine. You can look. You could. Don't worry."
Yeah,
it's fine for doctors. That's what you have to remember.
Exactly.
Everything they're saying is it's fine for doctor. Add for doctors to everything. I will say this: I had, and you know, we can talk about the pleasures and perils of induction all you want. We had two. Essentially, one was induced and one was a negotiated induction. The first one was, you know, everything was fine and I think healthy, and it was the same sort of message we got from the doctor, which was, you know, everything's fine, but you know, there are some things that we might want to look out for, and let's go ahead and schedule this. And we were young and didn't think anything of it, and scheduled the birth when I don't think, in hindsight, I don't think we needed to. I think it was going to happen on its own, but we did that one, and it turned out to be okay. The second one was a little bit cinematic, which was fun for us because my wife went in for a regular checkup and had, at that point, our 4-year-old daughter in tow. And they said at the hospital, at the clinic, they said, "You're not leaving. You're going to stay here and we're going to monitor, we're going to induce." And she said, I don't want to induce. I'll stay here. But the negotiation is you can monitor me here at the hospital, but I don't want to do an induction. I'd like to do this naturally. And so they did. And they actually ended up breaking her water to get things going. And, and that started the process effectively, many hours later, we had a second kiddo. I was in Salt Lake City when that happened. So I got the call in a meeting. Your wife's in the hospital, and had to run to do it and to get on a plane. That was kind of fun. It's fun being the expectant dad, right? Like, it was nice. She was well taken care of at the hospital. I felt good. Our friends were there. My dad was there. Everything was fine. And I got to run through an airport.
I'm glad for you for that. And I think I probably would have had a fun time with that. Would Kira describe that as having been fun?
Because I got there, so she was paralyzed with fear and anxiety, the fact that I was not in the same state. And we were well outside the window. Nick came, he came on his terms a little bit early. And so, we thought that it was safe to do one last trip. I think you're right. I don't think Kira has that memory of it being super fun and cinematic that I was running through the Salt Lake City airport.
Yeah.
But, memory is what it is.
Of course.
And Matthew, what is your vision of it, and what is your plan in so much as you can have one?
Well, I think there's a couple things here. And there's a whole thing we can get into about the medicalization of... There's a whole thing we can get into here about how everything about children, but especially childbirth, has now become one more of these like vaccines where there is so much political critique of what you should or shouldn't do that finding stuff, but on the flip side, like just trusting doctors and saying like, oh, the doctors will always know what's right. We do know there's lots of instances of doctors suggesting C-sections because they just want to go home and they want to be on a schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think we're still like 90% still with the, like, we're going to trust the doctors and do what the doctors say. But of course we have our own kind of thoughts. And so between Mary's very large family, my other partner, as I've said before, I'm polyamorous, wanting to be up here and be a support, my family who lives mostly all over the country, wanting to be able to plan and come and be here and help support us soon after the birth, but not during the process or something like that. Honestly, we were sort of thinking like, you know what? We're not going to ask to induce if there's not a medical reason, but it'd be kind of cool if there was a medical reason because honestly, having a schedule of some sort for this is going to make it a lot easier. And, my girlfriend being able to come up when she wants to, her parents having some idea, especially because they now have, they already have a grandchild that was born 3 weeks ago. So there's a lot of juggling of schedules of like who's going to whose house and this kind of stuff. And so I think we'd always been thinking that, and also thinking that if we had to do a C-section, that was okay. That was, if it was medically necessary, of course we wanted to do that, but that we didn't want that to be for the doctor's convenience. And not because it's like, oh, screw the doctor, but, because there are some medical risks associated with that. And we went to a hospital that has the lowest rate of C-sections of anywhere in the state. We were very happy about all this kind of stuff. And then I think actually we canceled a recording session because of this. Mary's at that point where she's going in to see an OBGYN once a week, and they're, hooking her up to the fetal monitors and stuff like that. And there was 1 week where they saw a couple of problems. And it was, I think, 2 weeks ago, something like that. So it was when the baby, I think it was at like 34, 35 weeks. So, the baby's almost fully formed, but like isn't quite, ready for like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving birth at this date. But basically what they told us is like, hey, look, we are seeing problems. We're seeing perhaps signs of preeclampsia, which, for those who didn't know that term, I didn't really know it well. Eclampsia is a situation of like very high blood pressure and other kind of can be pretty dire medical circumstances that can be incredibly dangerous for both mother and child. And so preeclampsia is like when it looks like we're going in that direction. And sometimes if you can't get that under control, that's one of the biggest reasons why sometimes people need to induce early. And so that first time we were kind of hooked up to the monitors and told, like, if we don't see the baby's heartbeat going in the direction we want it to, or some of your blood pressure, her blood pressure going the way we want it to, they might actually have induced like right then, or said we're going to induce a week from now, like once we cross that 36-week line. That didn't happen, but then we went in the next week and they said, yeah, things do look better, but still we're going to induce like a week or two early. And they gave us the chance to kind of say, pick a date within this 2-week window. I am not an astrology person, but it kind of made me curious. Like, as it happens, I don't think the 2-week window crosses an astrology important date, like from one sign into another. I just don't know. But I kind of asked, I had a fun conversation with my friends who are astrology people about, like, does this matter? Would you like intentionally pick or something? And a lot of people, yeah, very much so.
May I
Go ahead.
interject about the date for 1 second?
Please.
And we'll go right back to you. I was adamant to try to have Casey when he was still in school or when kids would be in camp. I was very worried that he would be born like in the off week where no one would care about his birthday and everyone would be out of town. And I was obsessed with that.
As someone
I'm a
born
weirdo.
August 31st, you did the right thing. Because
See? It's a thing. I'm not into astrology. I don't know anything about astrology. But his due date was June 4th. And I was like, no, everyone will be away. Okay.
when originally they were looking to induce early, we were like, just not on July 4th. Not on July
Right.
4th. We're not big flag waving people. Please
Yeah.
don't do that. But it turns out, yeah, date's going to be fine. But yeah, so I think now, I think there was definitely some concern when there were some medical issues happening. It looks like everything is fine now. Everything is just kind of on a good plan. And so what I'm telling myself is the 16th is the latest day that we might go into begin the labor process.
Mm-hmm.
It is 8 days before she's the official due date that was given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of babies are born 2 weeks early or a little bit more. So
Oh yeah.
we are in, like, this is our last week of putting the cribs together and all of that. And one of our to-dos for this week is to have the ready-to-go bag fully packed. And we've put down a list already for, some of our very closest family and friends who are going to want to be kind of there with us. Abby, who's my other partner, will probably be at the hospital with us, not in the birthing room, but kind of, if nothing else, mostly there to like help, field phone calls and stuff like that from all the families and things like that. Although she and I have been given the very specific, her job is to go get it and my job is to provide it. The amount of time between the baby popping out and the first piece of sashimi going into my partner's mouth is supposed to be as small as humanly possible.
Sure.
I don't think they will allow me to have an open plate of sashimi in the delivery
In the
room.
birthing room, no.
But
Correct.
probably as soon as we get out of that, she's just like, no, it's been killing her not being able to have real sushi and
I can
sashimi.
feel it. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, Mandy. Do you remember how long it was before you did something you couldn't do when you were pregnant after you gave birth to Casey?
One of my friends did bring booze to the where
Yeah.
you go visit, and I was like, "Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Like what about this?" But then I think a good friend brought like deli meats, and I
Yeah.
was so excited to eat deli meats.
Yeah.
So it was pretty quick because I'm such a foodie. But
Yeah.
they thought they were being cute. Like, now you can have wine. I brought wine, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want that.
You're on so
But-
many painkillers and that fog coming off of it. I can't imagine that being what you would want.
No, yeah. I mean, I didn't want it, and yeah. You're so tired anyway. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're exhausted anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the roast turkey sandwich is I think going to be within
Right.
an hour or so. And
soft cheese. You got to have a
Oh,
brie
yeah.
ready. Like, these are the.
Oh, you're
the
such a
keys.
cheesehead too. That must
Right?
have been
as someone with a Jewish
extravagant.
father, I'm not religiously Jewish, but certainly it's been a big part of my culture and ethnicity, and I've been introducing all that to Mary. The fact that one of the things she wants is for Abby to make matzo ball soup to be ready for her as soon as she gets home makes me so proud. Like I brought her into the fold just a little bit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of our plan. I think we're trying to continue to be as flexible as possible. The fact that we have so many family members in an immediate vicinity, and the fact that this is not the first rodeo because of that. Like, we have all these aunts and uncles who've had pregnancies. One of her grandmothers was an OBGYN for many, many decades. It's just, I think the biggest problem, honestly, is going to be turning away help when there's just too many people in the hospital room at any one point.
Or when you get home the first few days, it's like everybody wants to be there the first few days. But what
Right.
about
And
6
then
months down the
nothing.
road? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Have we reached a good point for me to do my segment, How Crazy is Mandy's Mother?
Go for it.
Okay. So
We don't have a theme song for that yet, right? Is
Not
that a
yet.
sponsored? Is that a sponsored segment? We'll figure that out.
we'll get there. This is the part sponsored by vodka for me. So I told her 4 months away, 5 months away, I might have a C-section. We're not sure. And she was supportive, and whatever you decide and whatever is best, and just let me know. I want to be there. Great. And then it turned into, okay, now we're 2 months out and we are going to have a C-section. The doctor thinks that's the least risky way. My mom says, like a normal person, oh, what's the date? And I said, I don't know yet. He wants to wait and see how large the baby is, how developed the baby is. It could be due date, could be a week earlier, could be as much as 2 weeks earlier. He's just not sure. He's going to make that determination when we're closer. Every day from that time until I gave her the date, do you have the date yet? Do you have the date yet? Have you asked him for the date? Have you talked to the office about the date? Have you tried calling the hospital and seeing when? And she was so insane, all because she wanted to know when she was traveling.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she had to fly in from the East Coast. So for her, it was all about her and her need to pack her suitcase and book her flight and know when she was coming. One time we were on the phone, and maybe still 6 weeks out, and she said, what's your doctor's name? And I said, Dr. Suey. And she said,
No.
how does he spell that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, Mandy's mom.
Oh, Helene. And I was like, are you seriously considering calling my doctor? Yeah. I'd like to know. I think I can get the answer.
Mother of pearl. That is rough.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she didn't get I didn't give her his name. She did not call. I was livid at the thought of it. But I gotta say, when that baby was born, she from that day
Yeah.
till today has been the best grandmother in the world, and she's so wonderful. But
Oh, yeah.
Well, and
Crazy.
it's a really important story. And I think for Matthew too, like, you have so much family and so much support, and you just have to remember the nut of Mandy's story is that your baby makes other people in the family crazy with affection and attention, and that can be emotionally and physically exhausting in its own right. And to figure out how you and Mary can take care of yourselves and each other when everybody is going to want to be a part of it for a blistering 72 hours is hard when you're already destroyed with exhaustion from bringing this life into the world.
It is very true, and it's an area in which I do think we're very lucky. I think I've mentioned before that my parents had a very bad divorce and literally could not, like, if they were in the same room together, they literally would not acknowledge each other's existence. And I miss my mother every day. I am incredibly sad that she won't get to be a grandmother to my child. And I'm a little bit relieved that I don't have to coordinate when does my mother come in, when does my father come in.
right.
And I think, and on a happier note, I think we're also just lucky that my sister has already had a child, so my father and stepmother are already grandparents.
Getting some of that crazy out, just
Yep.
working
Mary's
it
sister,
out.
Exercise
Dry
that
run.
demon.
Mary's sister had her baby a month ago. Mary's half sister, her mother's child had a baby, has had 2 kids in the last 5 years, and also just it is so different trying to, as I'm sure Manny, you know, like coordinating visits from people who have to fly and are coming in from far away versus people who live 20 minutes away. And I think my father was very good about, he was saying like, yeah, like he knows we have all that family there. He doesn't need to be one more person in the hospital waiting. He's happy coming in 3 to 4 weeks, you know? And specifically that when like that initial purge has worn off. I'll also say, and Pete, if you can give us some sponsorship for this, please let me know. I'm going to give a huge plug for the website Meal Train.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had this. I don't know if you guys know about this. I'm guessing you did not have it when you gave birth. But it is a website that basically allows you to, and it's meant for after a birth, but really you could do this for any time.
Oh, I've done it when a friend had surgery on her foot. Or you know.
Yeah. It's basically a way to say, hey, this person's going to need help, but if 5 people bring them lasagna on the first day, they can't eat it all. It's going to go bad in their fridge or it's not going to fit in the freezer or whatever. So here's like the first 6 weeks, and everyone can sign up to bring food over on this day or do other things. One thing we're looking into, because we're already starting to have this as a problem, is that in general, with me being disabled, I have a prosthetic leg that doesn't always fit the best. It's getting better, but still not fully there. You know, Mary generally does a lot of the like, I do all of like the day-to-day, the cooking, the cleaning, stuff like that, but she takes out the trash. She does a lot of the mowing the lawn. So we're working within Meal Train to figure out how can we do that? You know, how can we just get people to sign up to be like, yeah, I'll take out your trash. I'll take your, dumpsters out to the driveway and bring them back the next day.
Right.
And it is just such because for me, and here we can get a little bit personal. My mother was a wonderful person. I loved her to death. She and a lot of the other family I grew up with could often be very passive aggressive. And one of the kind of family rules was it is rude to ask someone a question that they might have to say no to. Which always left me feeling incredibly nervous with open-ended offers for help. Because I never know what was too much. You know, if they would say, hey, we'll do whatever you need. What do you need? And then I'm like, cool. Can you come over and scratch my back at 3 a.m? And they're like, no, of course I can't do that. What are you talking about? I said, but you said anything. And it's an extreme example, I know, but having this way of saying, so I always want to let people know, hey, I am happy to accept help that you are willing to offer, but I don't want to pressure you. I don't want to put you in a bad situation. And we can do these things without it. Something like Meal Train or other family members being the one to organize it, it just makes it so much easier to get past that awkwardness of, okay, I think I asked this aunt to babysit last week, so I shouldn't ask them. Because that's another thing we're going to start doing, is we know a lot of people in our family are going to be really excited to come over and be with a baby for a couple of hours while we can sleep or, do whatever, or just, go have dinner without, a screaming child in our midst for all the whole time. And so just having ways to coordinate those conversations is something I'm really looking forward to.
The other thing, it's interesting that just hearing you talk about navigating that how similar it is to the process of navigating grief, right? And loss.
Oh, yeah.
When you are in a position of having such sudden change, you often don't know what you need, what you're going to need. And sometimes you have to walk the line of being able to say, don't ask me what I want because I don't know, but maybe just come over and mow the lawn, right? Like maybe like you've got to just be open enough to like, I'm going to need a lot of stuff. I don't know what it is yet, but if you have any ideas, what I need most is you, nice person, to have agency in this conversation. You decide based on your experience what you think I might need, and I will be a willing recipient.
Yeah.
And that's it's kind of a nice place to be.
Yeah.
That's always been my philosophy. I generally don't say to people, let me know if you need anything.
It's the worst.
I just send a Grubhub card so they can buy dinner when they need dinner, or I just drop off cookies or whatever it is. I just do it because most people are not going to say, oh, great, a week from Tuesday, can you come mow my lawn?
Yeah.
But you just do it. And I mean, we're actually advising everyone around you, Matthew, instead of you. But I would also say, I love that you're not afraid to ask for help, and everyone thinks they know best, as I and right now I'm like, I'm an expert and I'm telling you what the first few weeks are going to be like and how to run your life. I'm not an expert. I know shit. But everyone is going to impose. And if you can calmly smile and say, here's what we need and here's what we're asking. And if you could hold off on visiting for a few days, that's what we'd like. We love you.
Right.
And we'll see you in a few days or whatever it is. People might get offended. Fuck them. There's, there's all sorts of, oh, Matthew and Mary are so weird about the baby. They don't want us dangling the baby off the balcony. And it's like, okay.
You go to dark places, Mandy.
Huh?
Look, I think that is so true. And the one thing you can count on is all the people who are offended, the moment they see the baby, they're going to forget being offended. It's really nice. It's like a get out of jail free card for, social slights.
Yeah. No, I think it's really true. And I think we're, one thing I've always tried to remind myself in situations like this is, and kind of same thing, Mandy, with you and your mother, like when they are doing things that drive you crazy like this, it's often out of love,
Of course. Yeah.
When I came out to my father about being bisexual when I was in high school, his first response was, I'm scared you're going to get AIDS. And I thought that was so homophobic. And oh my God, Dad, how could you say that? And looking back and looking at like what the situation was in the mid 90s and how much kind of propaganda there was out there about how like everyone who's gay is going to get this, but also how much reality about, the problems that were happening there. I get where that was coming from. It was misinformed. It was ignorant. It was hurtful, but it was said out of love and concern, and, I think that, and being also in a place where because I think I've talked before about Emily Oster, we have a good idea of what of the like family stories you're told about, like make sure the baby's facing north when they sleep, or don't have, pillows in the crib when they sleep. We know one of those is based on good science. One of them really is not. And that's, I think we've gotten very good at accepting advice that we're just going to say, cool, thank you. I'm going to take that opinion. I'm going to nod and smile, and I'm going to throw it right in the garbage because it's never going to be something I think about again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all a mixed bag, but it does come entirely from love, and that's wonderful.
So I'm going to make it all about me for a second, and I want people of all genders to be able to appreciate this podcast and stuff like that. But obviously, I'm someone who is non-binary but masculine presenting, and I'm not the one who's pregnant right now. And so, Pete, I'm going to ask you a version of this question, and then Mandy, throw it to you from the other side. But one of the things that I am dealing with, especially the fact that it is mostly Mary's family that's going to be around, is, she's the one who's going to be going through all the crazy stuff, and I'm going to be having a lot of stress, but I'm not obviously having the medical stuff that she's going through. And she's going to be the center of attention, the focus of attention, as she very much should be. And I am finding that it is important to me that people see that I'm being the most supportive, loving, their partner for her that I can be. And then recognizing that my focus needs to be on being a supporting, loving partner and not being seen as being a supporting, loving partner. And I'm just kind of curious for you, like I don't know if you had a lot of family around or if it was on a lot of her family or friends specifically. Did you feel any of that pressure of like, we've heard so many stories about guys being idiots or passing out or just being incredibly unhelpful during the birthing process. Did you have in your head some ideas of like, I want people to think, wow, what a great partner he was, or anything like that? Or were you happily far more enlightened than I am and it never bothered you?
No. I would never claim to be anywhere close to enlightened, Matthew. But I will say I did have those feelings, and I'll tell you when those feelings dissipate. When you actually have to step up and be supportive, right? When you actually have to do something because the urgency of the moment demands it. There's a lot of waiting and sitting around, and you'll be, would you go get me a Sprite? And you'll go get a Sprite. And, there are things that you'll navigate. And then when the actual process starts, you realize, oh, God, I'm doing something. Like I have to stand up. I was the right leg guy during Kira's birth with our second child. I was the cut the umbilical cord guy. Like I had those moments, and that brought me into the reality of being a new parent more than anything else, like any sort of performative pressure that I was absolutely feeling before that moment. I was like, I don't
Right.
need to worry about performance because I just have to be here. And you just forget about it. You forget about it. And then you're holding this baby and you're like, there's no performance in it.
Yeah.
This is reality right now. And I'm not looking out for any of those people. What do I care what they think? This thing right here in my arms is the thing I want to remember.
I would suggest a T-shirt that says "supportive partner" or something to let everybody know that that's what you are.
Right.
But I think,
Overzealous performative ally. Is
Pregnancy
really-
ally. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
the thing.
Yeah.
I put
pregnancy
on.
Yeah.
ally. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think this might be something you're doing to yourself, because think about when people in your life have had babies. You're like, oh, our friends down the street, they're having a baby. They're pregnant, right?
Right.
It's you guys are bringing life into the world. And I think it's antiquated to think of like, well, Matthew's, what's he doing? He's just standing around smoking a cigar. That's just not
Right.
how we think anymore whatsoever. This is your journey as a couple, as a family. So
But see, it's funny, Mandy, because I don't think I would not have said it, that I was feeling performative pressure from like older generations. It was like my peers who just had a baby. It's like we went through class together. I'm like, am I going to do this as well as John or Ted or Jimmy or Colin? Who do I know? I don't know anybody by that name. But so I was worried about like that sort of immediate peer pressure of, am I going to be as good as these other guys? Am I going to be able to show this? I think that's perfectly natural at any stage. But I also think once we, as we had our second child, there was none of that, because you already know what kind of a parent you are,
Yeah.
right? You already know what. So it only happens once, and it's for a little while, and then it will just dissipate.
I think that's true. And I think, Manny, I really hear what you're saying. And I think that we are certainly, miles away from the, oh, she's going to go into the pregnancy room and I'm going to sit out here and smoke a cigar with the boys and flirt with the nurses, and then she'll come back with a babe. Like, that is
those were
done.
the days, am I
I
right?
mean, there's room for it all. There's room.
I mean, if the nurse is cute, the nurse is cute. We're
Big
polyamorous.
tent,
But,
big tent.
you don't flirt with people while they're working. Clear rule. But like, I still push back a little bit when people talk about how like we're pregnant. This is our journey, because I do think that it is like the body. I'm watching all of these things that my partner's going through right now. We're at a stage where the kicking is so much that she's having real trouble sleeping. Another reason why we're not disappointed to be inducing sooner. And I'm not doing that. And I think
Right.
to me, this is something that I am walking with her on this. And all of the like preparing for the baby, the building of the crib, the shopping, the figuring out why people gave us 8 million clothes from 3 to 6 months, but nothing from 6 months to 9 months, or from 0 to 3 months or whatever. All of that we're doing together. But the physical experience is one that she is going through, and that I am supporting her. And the model that I keep trying to have in my head, and this is also a way to kind of counteract the I have to do this performative nonsense. I don't know if you guys know what I mean when I talk about the circles of care model. It's kind of the idea that like when something serious happens, it can be a tragedy or it can be a happy thing, a wedding or a birth or whatever. There's the people who are at the center, who are who are experiencing it, and then you have a number of circles outside of that, and that everyone's goal should be to bring support in and then to take their troubles out. So for that example, so that, for example, when like someone dies, their immediate family are going to need, if you are a distant cousin and you're talking to their wife, maybe it's not the best for you to be like making their wife deal with your sadness about it. You're there to support them. And then you turn to people who are a circle further outside of you to talk about your own experience of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so to me, like, right now, Mary is doing all she can to grow this baby and protect this baby and all that, and I can't do shit. I can support. What I can do is I can support her in that in every way I can. And as a result, Abby and one or two of my best friends are messaging me every couple of hours, being like, "How are you doing? How are you know?" And then Abby has friends who are like talking to her and being like, "So how are you doing about all this? You know, what's your feeling on all this?" And so that I think is more than anything the kind of model I want to have is the like. At the center of this are two people, one of whom I've met, one of whom I haven't met yet, but who I'm going to love very dearly and do love very dearly and want to protect and be there for. And there's a lot of it that's our journey, and a lot of it that's Mary and the baby's journey, and then I can be there to support as much as I can. And while also recognizing that the martyrdom approach of, I'm going to stay up 24 hours so that my partner can't, like, that's dumb. You know, if I'm in a situation where I am not capable of doing the things Mary needs because I'm trying to show her how much I can do the things that Mary needs, and the whole thing is going off the rails.
Right. You shot yourself in the foot. I have never heard of the circle of care, and I like that analogy. I would just put you in the circle. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I would nudge you, maybe not the exact center, but you're in that first circle with Mary and the baby.
I think that's true. But like right now, a lot of my job is Mary, go to sleep. Mary, you haven't eaten anything in 4 hours. Eat something, you know? Like,
Right.
Well, I mean, the reality is like we are pregnant is a little bit of a trope, and it's one I get, I understand, but in 2 weeks or so, like sometime over the next 2 weeks, we're parents is going to be the thing that you say.
Yeah.
And that is a team sport right there. Right? There is no judgment otherwise. It's a team sport. You're in it. You're 100% there. And you don't have to quibble over semantic language anymore.
Yeah, I think the language that I'm most comfortable with is I think I've said a couple times we're pregnant and then always been like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Pregnancy
but
is here.
Yeah,
let's go with that. Pregnancy
she is
here.
pregnant. We are expecting.
Yes.
You know, we are having a child. She is giving birth to a child.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was not without my moments when I was in so much physical discomfort that I didn't resent, like, oh, Jer doesn't know what this blinding heartburn is like, or, you know, but they were moments. And in general, we were a team, and he was feeling all the emotions with me, and, you know.
Yeah. I hear that.
So
I will just say, just to timestamp this, I had the absolute honor and joy to hang out with both you, Matthew, and Mary, and I cannot believe just how pregnant Mary is. And waddling around this outdoor event that we were doing, I kept thinking, this is going to happen. I might be not only lucky enough to be hanging out with you this afternoon, I might be here for the birth, because it feels so imminent to hang out with you guys. Like, it feels so ready. And to think you have still weeks ahead of you, it would just be a real surprise to me if it didn't happen in days, not weeks, hours, not days. It's here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we're going to have a July baby. We know we're going to have a July baby. And, you know, we're going to be packing that to-go bag probably tonight or tomorrow, because it is just about time.
Smart.
I would pack it right now, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Like, that'll Murphy's Law. Like, don't, it's on the to-do
because
list,
we're
maybe this
podcasting about
weekend.
it, right?
Yeah, I would pack that bag. That's my parting words.
Here's the other thing. We live 500 feet from the hospital.
Nice.
So, yeah, literally, like, we have a back fence, and then right across that back fence is the hospital. And we used
Mary's
to joke
not going to be able to climb a fence when she's in labor.
She
Matthew.
won't need to, because Matthew is going to plow through it like the Kool-Aid man.
Look, it is about a quarter-mile walk, because we have to go kind of around the fence to get there. And Mary is convinced that she's going to be in labor and make that walk. While it is a July 95 degrees day, which is one more reason I'm happy we're inducing, because I was like, no. But she's been insisting that even when it's very hot, she walks back and forth, and I always panic about it. But nothing's happened. So
all right,
we'll see. Like I said, it's going to be now that we can plan the birth, I know that I can plan everything about this baby's life and everything's going to be okay. And I will not be surprised ever, because as long as I read the right books and listen to the right podcasts and listen to you two, then I will know everything to expect about parenthood, and there will be no surprises ever.
You're going to be
welcome.
fine.
There we go. There we go. All right. Any closing thoughts? Mandy?
I don't think so. I'm just excited and can't wait to hear every detail. I assume we'll be podcasting from the delivery room.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to live stream that.
Yeah.
At a minimum, Mandy and I will be color commentary for the event.
Ooh. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that won't
Oh,
kick
I
in my
like
anxiety
that.
about being there. Oh, look at the way Matthew's stroking that arm. They've been hitting the same piece.
Right.
Been hitting the same spot on Mary's arm.
Mary
Move
wants
up.
to push.
Getting a little,
I don't think she
getting
should
a little
push
raw.
here.
I don't think she should push yet.
No.
Let's go to the videotape. Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Best of luck. All right, thank you, Pete. Last words.
No, just revel in it. It's a stressful, amazing, beautiful, incredible time, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. I mean, I know what's going to come next, but I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
a baby. Spoiler alert.
Oh, God,
it is a
really?
baby. This is a podcast, and to our listeners, this podcast is part of the This podcast is part of the Ethical Panda family of podcasts and the larger True Story family of podcasts. On that same TrueStory.fm website, you can find Make Me a Nerd, Mandy's podcast. And by following that, you can find all the other great things she does, including a whole cabaret in LA. Pete Wright is involved in 8 million podcasts, including listening to me very grumpily talk about how bad the second Thor movie is, and trying to occasionally get me to smile about it. And as well as doing podcasts about ADHD and old movies and just all sorts of great things. Go to True Story FM, check out everything there. There's really no reason to spend your time on any other kind of media. Just listen to podcasts for the rest of your life. And then everybody happy. Thank you so much for listening. May the force be with you.
Awesome.